But outside of that, I do use my candles and I use my story not just for the gun violence, but I like to drive home the therapy, the mental health aspect of the candles, not just the candle, but what the candle's done for me.
Welcome to the Pastor Chira Show. I'm Pastor Chira, and today we launch. We launch into new territory. We launch into new mindset. We launch into new relationship. Are you ready to launch out? Come on and launch out with me as we go into this conversation on today. And I'm excited about this conversation today because we have not done this segment in a little bit, and I've missed it. I don't know about you, but I have missed it. I have missed talking to business owners. I've missed talking to those who are creatives. I've missed talking to those that have a product, that have something that they have for you. And I have someone today who has something just for you. He's a creative. He has created these things just for you so that you can have, never mind, I'm not even gonna go there. I'm just gonna bring him in so that we can begin this conversation. Who am I talking about? I am talking about the Clinton Handy of Pure 5 Candles. Yes, I'm so excited.
Hey.
Hi.
Hey. How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
I am doing wonderful. Thank you.
I'm excited. Can you tell I'm excited? I'm just a little bit excited. I'm a little excited.
I am just as excited. And I just thank you for this opportunity today.
I just show it a little more. I'm a little animated. I'm a
little reserved, but I am excited. Just for those who know me, they can tell this is about,
That's about it.
He's excited. He's excited. So.
No, but I am. Thank you so much for being a part of the Pastor Chira Show today and bringing your products so that we can just sit down and have this candid conversation about you and what you do and why you do what you do. But before we get into that, can you just introduce yourself to the viewing audience today?
Sure. Hey, how you doing? First of all, Chira, thank you so much for this opportunity. It's just amazing to be sitting here with you today, considering how far back we go. And I'm not sure how far, you reach. I just want everybody to know that I know your credentials. I know that you are Pastor Chira, but we go way back that I might, call you Chira. Sometimes I'm not disrespecting your marriage, might call you Miss Smith, but that's just because we go all the way back to running between the pew, the church, up and down the steps to that very church that you are now a pastor of. And I'm just so amazing how you come from being kids playing around the church to now becoming the pastor of that very same church. And I just wanted to take the time to say that I am amazed and I'm thanking you for this opportunity. So my name is Clinton Handy and I am the owner of Pure 5 Candles, where I create soy wax candles using some of the best products, the environments, and we'll dig into deeper, how I got here. Sometimes your paths just take you certain directions and you just got to follow them. And then we'll go into how I got here. But I'm just very thankful to be here with you today and to share my product.
Wow. That is okay. So first of all, you want to make me cry. That's what you want to do. So you just want to start off by making me cry. Yeah.
No, it's just, like I said, when I talk about the roads here, who knew back in the day, aggravating our parents running through church, I would end up here talking to Pastor Chira, so it's just amazing, the roads that we travel and where we end up. So.
Because it's so true because we grew up together. We grew up in the same church for, a long period of time. I left, came back, you were there, and like it's just our paths just continue to cross, and how our paths continue to not only cross but parallel, and then cross, and then kind of parallel again, and so it's like even when we try to be like, you know what, I don't want to do with you, I don't want to talk to you no more, we still stay connected. And that's something about relationship, and when you have relationship with somebody. So even like I say in my introduction, we launch into new relationship. This is no way, no how new. We have known each other for just about all our lives.
Yeah, I mean, it's been a very long time, and I just, like I said, I'm just thankful to be here, thankful for the opportunity, and again, it's just amazing to be sitting in front of you now, being the pastor of that very church that we played around and got on people's nerves, and it's just amazing.
It is. And so what was something that, even being a part of that ministry and being a part of that church growing up, how did it help you in your even now development, in becoming who you are and doing what you do even today?
Well, I mean, it started with my mother, rest her soul, but it started with my mother, and that's the reason we ended up in that church, and that's the reason for the foundation in the church, singing on the choir, growing up with the family in the church, and so just that upbringing, being deeply rooted. Sometimes, I'll stray away from the church or whatever, but it's always that foundation that the church and my mother had. And then, my sister, I stay grounded with my sister. When I have troubling times, I know where to run to other than the altar. I know I need to run to my sister. And now I have my amazing niece who's a preacher as well. And,
yes.
She's just it's just, it started at Mount Vernon, and then the people, my family, it just helps me to stay rooted to the church, help me stay rooted to God, and just have that relationship even when I don't pray or worship like I should. I have that connection to you, your father, my sister, my niece. So it just provided a foundation for when you need that reassurance and things seem to go a little rough, and you just know where you need to turn to. So that's what Mount Vernon Baptist Church has done for me. So because foundation is everything, right?
It's how we build anything. It's if you don't have a good solid foundation, you're not building anything. You're not going anywhere, because it's not going to stand. It's not going to stay. It's not going to be solid. And, and us coming up in the ministry that we did, different things happen, right? But we still learned how to remain, I'm going to say it like this, pure family. No matter what.
Right.
No matter what happened, no matter how things turned out, we learn how to continue to love one another, continue to be there for one another, continue to communicate with one another, even when we didn't want to. It helped us. And even now in the things that we do and in our development and moving forward in what we hear to do and how we see to do things, how has it helped you with even getting through the things that you are going through, like with building this company that is pure, Pure 5, and I know you have a reason for calling it that, but how has it helped you in just building your company to be what it is today?
Well, like we spoke, like I speak of, that foundation. Most of the times when things get rough and challenging, it's that foundation of having faith. Like I know I struggle with my faith a lot. And so just having that foundation, it's what keeps me, certain or sure. And sometimes I do have to go to my sister and I would ask her, that's her name, Sarlene, mind you. I have to ask her sometimes, like when I'm struggling, like, is this a thing of faith? Is this a thing of just holding on or patience? Because I struggle with that. A lot of my challenges, it's rooted in faith and it's rooted in hope. So all that ties back to my relationship in the church and just having the knowledge of knowing, just knowing God to a sense. I don't have to worship like some people say I have to worship or follow, but I know that God has been instilled into me. And that's where I have a tendency to go back to when I'm struggling with faith. I have a problem with my children or business or work. It always comes back to just faith and prayer. And that's, again, it goes back to the church. It goes back to my family. And that's what sustains me. My close relationship with my family, who has a very close relationship to God. That's what sustains me.
Mm-hmm. And that's true, because a lot of us don't. Faith is a tough thing. It can be a very tough thing when we talk about believing in something that we don't see, or trusting in something that seems like or feels like has let us down. But I still have to hold on to that. And it's like, why am I holding on to something that feels like has let me down and disappointed me and hasn't been there for me? Like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this? This doesn't make any sense.
Right.
Like, why? And, and like you said, but going back and just looking and seeing and remembering, it might not be what I want it to be right here, right now, but it did get me through that. And It did get me through that. And it did bring me here. And I'm still here in order to produce and do what I've been created to do. And so I'm so grateful, because we've even had some of these conversations of just, what is this faith thing and why? And I don't get it. But I'm so grateful and that you continue to hold on to the faith that you have in order to continue to develop into who you've been created to be.
Sometimes I said, look, I'm waiting for him to show up. I'm 53 years old. I'm waiting for him to show up. But I'm right there, and I know that I'm here, for a purpose, and I just keep moving forward. Just keep moving forward.
And keep moving forward. You do, because you are always moving forward in a creative space. You're always developing yourself to do something else. You're always, going out and getting a new skill, right? You go and get new trainings. You just are always developing you as a person, as an individual. And I am so glad that you heard to develop and create Pure 5 Candle Company. And we're going to go to a commercial break. And on the other side, we're going to dig in a little bit to Pure 5, where the name came from, where the concept came from, where the candles came from, and where you want to go. So we will be right back.
All right.
Do you have a song or a single that's coming out soon? Be our Artist of the Month. Contact us at the Pastor Chira Show so that you can be heard worldwide. Your music counts. Your ministry counts. We want you to be seen and heard because you have a sound like no other. Be the Artist of the Month for the Pastor Chira Show. Contact us at thepastorchirashow.com and let us know that you have something that's coming out. You have a concert that's coming up. You have a project that's being produced. Be with us as the Artist of the Month for the Pastor Chira Show. I'm looking forward to it. See you soon. We are back. So let's go right back into our conversation with CEO. I said it. CEO. Of Pure 5 Candle Company, Clinton Handy. And so excited.
Hey, that sounds major. CEO sounds major.
Right?
Yeah, I'm just a little candle maker, but CEO sounds major.
No, it's major because you're major. You are major. You are.
Okay.
Because this is a major thing that you have endeavored upon. Like, and just like we were talking about our foundation and how we got started. How did you get started in candle making? I mean, candle making? Where did this come from?
And that's you know what, that was my same thing as candle making. Where did this come from? So back in September of 2022, I lost my son. Unfortunate, lost my son to the streets of Philadelphia. And when you lose a child, that's a little it's unnatural. It's not the natural order of things. So losing my child, I struggled a bit. Ended up going into therapy. And during the therapy process, candle making was suggested as a way to maybe just occupy the brain to help you with your process of healing. And so went out, got my little small candle kit, started making candles. Holiday came around, I made some candles, passed it out to some loved ones. They enjoyed it. Requests for, how much do these cost? How many candles you have? And it was like, no, I'm just making candles for the holiday. But then, the questions kept coming up, how much are the candles? And so I started digging in deeper, taking a serious look at making candles. And so it went from being a hobby to being Pure 5 candles. So here we are. That's the route, a little unorthodox, a little unnatural, but again, here we are. So that's how I got into Pure 5 candles.
As therapy?
As therapy. See, most of the time you go to the store, you buy a candle, you light it, it smells good. You don't think about the process or the science behind making a candle. So it's that process of, wax and wicks and jars. It's a science to it. And just so kind of figuring those things out occupy the brain. And then to a certain person or a certain type of person, it's that figuring things out that gives you the therapy or the task. And you really just dive into it and you really enjoy making the candle. And then when you're just sitting there mixing fragrances and pouring wax, it is kind of therapeutic. You got your music playing and you're just mixing scents and you're just pouring. And then the final result be that you're giving someone something that, that they enjoy, especially when the orders come in. That's an indication that you're on to something and people love what you do. So that's what I started pouring this time and this energy into, just creating a really good product. And I'm just, here we are.
Wow.
Here we are.
And so the mixing and the matching of the scents and just being able to allow that to be therapeutic in the making process, but then in the healing process. And so even while you were making them and the scents were coming, and I mean, I know you're standing there and you're doing your calculations on how much to pour in and what needs to go where and how it needs to go and what needs to happen. But even with, because we get our candles and we don't just like to see the wick burning because that's therapeutic in itself, but it's the aromas, it's the smells. How has that helped you in creating different aromas to help in the therapeutic and the healing process?
Well, to start in the very beginning, we have a collection called the Remember Me collection, and to add to that therapy, that collection was curated by taking 5 of my son's characteristics and adding a fragrance to those characteristics, and that's how we came up with the collection. So that was a combination between me and my family and my lady, and we came up with names and we came up with fragrances, and we hey, smell this, smell that. Do you like this name? So those were characteristics of like joy and charm and melody and laughter, and so it was those things that reminded us of my son Miles. He loved music and he was always laughing and he was a joyful person and charismatic, very charmed, lay it on thick. And so I took those things first, and then we came up with fragrances to match those names. And then that's how it becomes therapeutic, because now you're starting to work towards a project, or you're trying to work towards a memory. And, so just thinking of the names and the fragrances and the labels and the jars and all that stuff, it keeps you occupied, and it gives you purpose. At least for me, it started giving me purpose to my loss, because, my son was those 5 things that we kind of narrowed it down to, and, coming up with those fragrances. And then on top of that, we've added a cause to that collection. So the name of those original 5 candles are called the Remember Me collection. But now what we do from that collection is proceeds from that collection goes to organizations who are fighting to reduce the gun violence in our cities. So that now gives me an added purpose to making these candles, and the relationship to the loss of my son. I want to take that and try to be a help to someone else, so that another parent doesn't have to experience this kind of loss, because it's devastating. It could be devastating. No parent want to bury their child, and like I said, it's an unnatural order of things. So through this process, that's where the therapy comes from. Putting the cause to it, and even the name, like the Purified name, comes from he had a apparel company called Purified Apparel. So when you look at the label when you look at the font that's on my label, that was the same font from his apparel that he used to make for his clothes. So I took that name and we wrote it into Purified Candles using the same font from his business, and just to keep him present, and to make a purpose with the company, make a purpose with this line of candle. And like I said, my goal is to help reduce the violence with these guns. And because it's like, if you're in Philadelphia, you hear the stories, and it just it's a lot. So that's just something that I feel like we can give back to and add a purpose to what I'm doing. No one could have ever told me that making candles would have provide the type of therapy and joy and relaxation that it provides to me. So I'm telling people, you don't have to go out and make candles, but you do have to get in therapy. And it doesn't just have to be after losing a loved one. If the life pressures are getting you down too much, you just gotta go talk to someone. And so that's just another part of, because I've always been an advocate of therapy. It does even before my son. It does wonders for me. Yes. But now this really helps drive home, because I never had a therapist who suggests candle making, and I never knew that this is the kind of result. But more importantly, I wouldn't have known that this is the kind of result unless I got into therapy. So it doesn't have to be candle making. I just want to use this story again. So you got the loss of my son and the gun violence, but also how therapy works and the importance of therapy. And we just have so many mental health issues, and people are just avoiding therapy, and it's helpful. So
you are amazing, and I applaud you. I honor you.
Thank you.
I just love you to life. Always have. Always will. I'm one of your biggest advocates, one of your biggest cheerleaders, and I always will be. I don't care who likes it and who doesn't.
Well, don't leave out pain in the butt too sometimes.
And a pain in the butt.
Don't leave that one out.
But you just do so much, and I am so proud and honored to call you friend.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
I'm
really,
just,
really am. And
yeah,
so,
thank you so much for this opportunity. It was, when you called, I said, look, I gotta, yeah, I would love the opportunity, and I just thank you. And again, I'm just admired about, where we started, or where you started, and playing around on the steps in the church to becoming the pastor of the church. And
right?
I'm just really, I'm just amazed at it. I'm just amazed.
Thanks. And I'm amazed at you. But can you just tell the people how they can be in contact with you and how they can reach out and purchase your candles?
Well, you can purchase my candles at www.pure5candles with an S, pure5candles.com. You can log on there. You can purchase my candles, or you can reach me on Instagram at pure5candle.co. That's pure5candle.co on Instagram. You can inbox me there. I'm hoping to get my store up and running on Instagram shortly. But my website's up. You can reach pure5candles.com. And that's how we do it.
That's how we do it. This is what we do. Thank you so much for being here.
Thank you.
Having this candid conversation about
Thank
candles on the Pastor Chira Show with me. Listen, when you start candle conversations, I'm going to be right there. Trust and know.
You'll be right there. Absolutely.
I'm going to be right
there. You're going to pour your candles. Make sure you pour your candle, make your own fragrance and everything. So
there you go.
Right.
There you go. Thank you so much
for
being with us today. Listen, I need you all. I need you to go to pure5candles.com. Get your candle. See what they have. Purchase it. Get it so that you can get your fragrance. You can have the serenity of Pure 5 in your house today. You don't have to wait for tomorrow. You can start your process today. I'm Pastor Chira. This is the Pastor Chira Show. And I'll see you next week. God bless.